Let's now discuss a purely inductive circuit. Now, as the name suggests, this kind of a circuit, alternating current circuit, only has an inductor in it. Okay? So, the inductor has self-inductance L. The instantaneous voltage of the power source is V0 sine omega t. And let us also consider that at any instant the current is flowing in the clockwise sense whose magnitude is I. Whose magnitude is I. Now, since the magnitude of alternating current constantly fluctuates, okay, it constantly changes, and in addition to that, the direction of the current, alternating current, is also constantly changing. Because of which what happens is, the magnetic flux linked with this inductor, or so to say with this coil, constantly changes. And we've already learned that whenever there is a change in magnetic flux linked with the coil, what happens is an EMF is induced. And Lenz's law tells us that the induced current is, or the induced EMF is in such a direction that it wants to oppose the cause producing it. So to say, the inductor generates an induced current which is flowing in this direction because it wants to oppose the cause. And what is the cause producing this induced current? It is the alternating current flowing in the clockwise sense. So understand one thing clearly here. Since there is an induced current generated due to the presence of the inductor, in a way we can say that this inductor in itself is acting like a power source. It is acting like a battery. Why? Because only because of the presence of this inductor, an induced current has generated. If you had a resistor over here, obviously you would not have this induced current. So remember, we can also understand it this way, that the inductor behaves as a new source of current or new power source in itself. And in this case, since induced current is flowing in the anti-clockwise sense, so to say, therefore this side of the inductor is acting like a positive terminal of the battery, and this side is acting like the negative terminal of the battery. Okay? So, what therefore we can do is we can again apply Kirchhoff's voltage law in this closed loop. And let us again consider the anti-clockwise motion. Now, when we consider anti-clockwise motion and we encounter this power source, since at this instant this is positive, this side is negative, so we are moving in a direction from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. That is a fall in potential. Therefore, the potential difference across the power source is taken to be negative, minus V. And then after we encounter the inductor itself, at this instant, this side is negative, this side is positive, that of the inductor. Alright, so we are moving from the negative side to the positive side, that is from a lower potential to a high potential, a rise in potential. Therefore, the EMF or the potential difference across the inductor is taken to be positive. But the question is, what is the potential difference across this inductor? The potential difference across this inductor is equal to the EMF induced in the inductor. And we've already learned that the EMF induced in this inductor is L di by dt. The magnitude of the EMF induced is L into di by dt. So therefore this is L di by dt. And according to Kirchhoff's law, this has to be equal to 0. Now let us work out the mathematics. Or this can be written as L di by dt is equal to V, or rather here itself we can write V0 sine omega t, the value of V. Let us cross multiply. L di is equal to V0 sine omega t dt. This is what we get. Then if we integrate both the sides, what we get is L into I is equal to V0 being a constant comes out of the integral, and likewise L being a constant, it came out of the integral, mind you. So V0, the integration of sine omega t is minus of cos omega t divided by omega. Okay, so from here we get therefore I is equal to V naught divided by omega L into minus cos omega t can be written as the minus sign here, sine of pi by 2 minus omega t. Why? Because sine pi by 2 minus omega t is cos omega t minus 2. Alright, and here is this minus sign. You can pause the video and copy this quickly. Okay. So I'll erase the things. Okay, so see one thing. We know sine of minus theta can be written as minus sine theta. Okay, so this angle is like theta, so minus sine theta can be written as sine of minus theta. So instead of this, what we can write is we can write I is equal to V naught by omega L into sine of omega t minus of pi by 2. This is what we can write. And one more thing, if you check the dimension of omega L, or so to say the unit, see, let me do that work over here. The unit of omega is per second. So per second, what am I writing? Per second into the unit of L is Henry. Henry means, so L from here is E upon di by dt. Okay, so to say volt second per ampere. So volt second per ampere is what is called Henry. So second, they divide each other out. So we get volt per ampere. So we get to see that the unit of omega L, or so to say the dimension of omega L, is the same that of resistance, because volt per ampere is what is called ohm, mind you. Alright, so omega L is like resistance, so therefore V naught by omega L is current. So V naught by omega L has a dimension of current, and instead of V naught by omega L, therefore we write I naught sine omega t minus of pi by 2, where of course I naught is V naught by omega L. Okay, so therefore this is the value of the instantaneous current in case of a purely inductive circuit. Alright, let me erase this rough work. Okay, so this is the value of current, instantaneous current in case of purely inductive circuit, like I've already mentioned. And we see that in case of a purely inductive circuit, the phase angle for V was omega t, whereas that for current is omega t minus pi by 2. So to say simply, the current and the voltage in case of purely inductive circuit, they are not in phase. Alright, in fact, it is the current which lags behind the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. So to say in case of inductive circuit, the voltage moves faster or is moving ahead of the current by a phase angle of pi by 2. Therefore, let me erase this half. So if we draw a phasor diagram for this circuit, then since the phase of voltage is omega t, so this is our V naught having an angle, value of angle omega t, or phase of omega t, and since current is lagging behind the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2, so your current vector or phasor is somewhere over here. Alright, lagging behind the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. So to say, this is your instantaneous value of voltage V, and likewise this is the value of instantaneous value of current I. So just by looking at the phasor diagram, you can see that in case of a purely inductive circuit, the current lags behind the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. Also, if we are to draw a graph of the voltage and the current curve, let me erase this thing here. Okay, so if this wave represents the voltage curve, so to say this is representing V, which is V naught sine omega t. This is pi by 2, this value is pi, this value is 3 pi by 2, this is 4 pi by 2 of 2 pi. Okay, so since current is lagging behind the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2, the current starts only after the value of the angle pi by 2. Okay, pi by 2 after the voltage has already started. So here the current needs to be maximum at this point. Here it has to be minimum. Again, here it needs to be max. Yeah. So this is your current curve. And you can see the current curve starts only after angle pi by 2, okay, of the alternating voltage already starting. So this is the current curve. I is I naught sine omega t. So you can make out from this graph itself that the current is lagging behind the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. Okay, you can extend this thing over here. This is all about a purely inductive circuit. In case of an inductive circuit, we saw that omega L has the dimension of resistance. Okay, so this omega L is actually the resistance which an inductor offers to the flow of alternating current, and it has a name. It is called inductive reactance. It's called inductive reactance, and it is also denoted by capital X with the subscript L. So wherever you see this written, you have to understand it is talking about inductive reactance, which is the resistance which an inductor offers to the flow of alternating current. The third kind of circuit that we discuss is a purely capacitive circuit. So we have a capacitor having capacitance C connected to this power source, alternating power source, having instantaneous value of voltage V naught sine omega t, of course. So again, at this instant, our alternating current is flowing in the clockwise sense. Okay, so to say, this side of the capacitor becomes positive and this side of the capacitor becomes negative. Alright, so again, considering Kirchhoff's laws, we are moving from in the anti-clockwise direction, so therefore from the positive side to the negative side. So the potential difference across the power source is negative. When we encounter the capacitor, we are coming from negative side to positive side. So plus. Now, what is the potential difference across the capacitor? For a capacitor, we know Q is CV, or so to say, V is Q upon C. So, for this capacitor, the potential difference across the capacitor is the charge that is stored in this capacitor divided by its capacitance, and this has to be equal to 0. Now, what we do is we interchange their positions like this, or differentiating both the sides, we get 1 upon C is a constant, so it comes out with the differentiation. So we get dq by dt. We are differentiating with respect to time, and we get this to be equal to dv by dt, which can be written as ddt of V is V naught sine omega t. Don't forget. So quickly doing the mathematics, 1 by C. Now what is dq by dt? dq by dt is the rate of flow of charge, and that is equal to the current flowing in the circuit. Okay, so this becomes equal to V naught is a constant. So V naught, differentiation of sine omega t is omega cos of omega t. Okay? Or we have I is equal to omega c into V naught cos of omega t. I hope you are following the mathematics. Let me erase the upper part. So that can be rewritten as V naught divided by 1 upon omega c, and cos omega t can be written as sine of omega t plus pi by 2, because sine pi by 2 plus theta is equal to cos theta. So this is what we can write. Now if you check the dimension of 1 by omega c, you will get to see that the dimension of 1 by omega c is the same as that of resistance. Okay, so I can be written as I is I naught sine of omega t plus pi by 2. So this is your value of instantaneous current for a purely capacitive circuit, and we can see that again for a capacitive circuit the voltage and the current are not in phase, mind you, and in fact here the current leads the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. Here in case of capacitive circuit it is the current which is leading the voltage. So therefore if we draw a phasor diagram, so the voltage has phase omega t or angle omega t. So this is V naught having phase omega t, and here is where your current will be, leading the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. So this is our I naught. So this will be your I, and this will be your V, instantaneous value of voltage. So this is the phasor diagram for your purely capacitive circuit. And likewise, if we plot the graph of the voltage and the current, so this represents the voltage. Of course, we are plotting omega t along the x-axis. Alright? So the current will be, so the current is leading the voltage, so it starts earlier than the voltage, so to say. So this is your current curve, which is represented by these broken lines. Okay, so this solid line represents a voltage. V is V naught sine omega t, and this represents your current curve, so to say. I is I naught sine omega t, and you can see from the graph itself that the current is leading the voltage by a phase angle of pi by 2. So this is about your purely capacitive circuit. Also we see that in case of capacitive circuit, 1 by omega c has the dimension of resistance. So to say, 1 by omega c is the resistance which a capacitor offers to the flow of alternating current, and it's called capacitive reactance. It is denoted by capital X with a subscript c. Xc is equal to 1 upon omega c, and this is capacitive reactance. I would like to add a point over here. Though a capacitor offers resistance to the flow of alternating current, okay, but still an alternating current can pass through a capacitor. But a direct current cannot pass through a capacitor, mind you. So to say, a capacitor blocks the flow of direct current. You can understand from here too. Omega is the angular frequency. Now for direct current, there is no angular frequency. So to say, the angular frequency for direct current is 0. So Xc for direct current is 1 upon 0, and this is, so to say, infinite. Alright, so to say, a capacitor offers infinite resistance to the flow of direct current. Or for that matter, a capacitor blocks a direct current remember. Direct current is only used if this was a source of direct current, if this was a cell, okay, current would obviously flow in this direction, and this current would be blocked by the capacitor and will be used only to charge the capacitor. So here positive charges will start flowing, getting stored, and here negative charges will start getting stored in the capacitor. So direct current charges a capacitor and it is blocked by a capacitor, mind you, whereas alternating current can flow through a capacitor. If this is a capacitor, the alternating current kind of flows like this. It simply passes through the capacitor.